Hi everyone, my name is EJ and welcome to the very first episode of Let's Talk, a ColdplayXtra podcast. So Coldplay is back, and friends, let me tell you how good it is to say that out loud. Now, the new album is called Everyday Life, and it's coming out this Friday on November 22nd. And it's coming out in a very special way too. We have a live stream performance coming from the boys. And they're streaming on YouTube all the way from Jordan, and we're very excited to get into that. But first, let me introduce you to my wonderful co-host joining me here today. First up, all the way from Philly, it is Brooke.
Hi guys, so like EJ said, I'm Brooke. I'm currently living in Philly. You may know me as in a wooden house in various places. You might also know me as Coldplay is awesome.
Hi, my name is Camelia. I'm from Egypt, but I currently live in Munich, and you can find me on Twitter at Kaleidoscope, and I'm very excited to be joined with my lovely co-hosts.
Hi, and yes, my name is EJ. I am coming from Chicago, and you can find me on Twitter at the3junior. And yeah, I'm really excited to get into this.
Hi everyone, I'm Sam. I'm from Newcastle in England. You might know me as at Everyday Life on Twitter. It's pretty easy to remember. I'm very excited to get into all the news and rumours that we have coming up about the new album.
Hi everyone, I'm Ian. I'm kind of responsible for all this, so thanks for tuning in and listening to us talk about Coldplay. We've tried to do this 3 times, but the previous times, this is the third try. The previous 2 times, news came out like the next day, and all of our content was either ruined or debunked, or we've never had a chance to really publish it because there was always news flowing. So we've been planning this for a while, but we just didn't want to look like clowns. But hopefully right now is a good time to start sharing our thoughts and feelings and look back on what has happened with the build up to Everyday Life. And we're very excited, and I'm very excited. So thanks for listening. I hope this is a good listen.
Yeah, and you know what they say, third time's the charm, right? So,
that's it.
Yeah. Going back, once we got intros out of the way, let's get back into Everyday Life. Yeah, so what do you guys think about that?
Look at where we were a month ago and where we are now. Quite a lot of things that have happened. It's very exciting, to say the least.
And I guess a month from now, who knows either.
Yeah, even as we record this thing, they're coming out with more and more news. Like prior to just recording this, we got the first community post. That's something that they released for the US and Canadian fans, I believe. And you could submit your phone number and then they'll send you posts. It's like an extra social account at this point. So that was pretty cool.
Also, Guy kept posting on Instagram. So it's a lot. Yeah, the news flow has been quite incredible. And I guess we're all pretty happy after the hibernation, as Chris would describe the whole time. The hibernation that we had in the past 2 years.
That he's still in, apparently.
Apparently.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, I'm happy that Coldplay are back, but at the same time, Coldplay themselves don't feel like they're back, so it's hard for me to feel like they're back. I don't know, it's strange. Do you get what I mean? Like,
It feels like Groundhog Day. Like they're just like peeking out, and then we gotta see, is it gonna be like another 2 years of hiatus, or is the next era after this coming earlier?
Yeah. It does kind of feel like Ghost Stories Round 2. Like,
it does.
Here's an album, but don't expect to hear from us in any way
Don't
whatsoever.
expect too much.
Yeah, literally. You're
go,
getting an
bye.
album, that's it. Like, don't push your luck.
Well, they've earned the right to do that by now, I think. So.
Oh, 100%.
Just thinking about like the way that we're gonna feel like on Friday versus these last has it been like a month of just like ever since they released anything, like the first teaser.
Mm-hmm. Mid-October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole thing started.
It's been about 3.5 weeks, and it feels like it's been about 3.5 years.
That's how much I've aged physically.
Literally. The lack of sleep does things to you, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to get into all the songs we heard so far and the show in Jordan. But like we were saying about a month ago, nobody knew this was happening, really. You know, we have to go back and kind of discuss the band's hype train and how this all came about, because it was quite a ride for those following the action when it was happening. So what we do know is, and Guy is revealing new and new information all the time on his Instagram, which I believe Camille is going to talk in depth about later on, is they were in Paris in the summer recording, and this was no secret. We didn't know what it was for. Could it be Coldplay, or could it be part of something Los Unidades? Chris was meeting a lot of international artists at the time, but I don't think any of us could have really have expected an album just a few months later.
I thought it was just all very mysterious, even for Coldplay. Like, the amount of searching we did to even find out that information, and to be honest, the fact that they managed to keep it hidden so well. Like, we had no idea that there was a double album coming. We barely even knew that it was going to be Coldplay. Like, the fact that they managed to make this such a large-scale project right under our noses is still pretty impressive to me, to be honest.
I mean, knowing what we do know now, just knowing how they recorded this and their recording processes and their locations, they're definitely very sneaky about it. And yeah, like, I don't know who could have guessed it, you know, that they were doing this like guerrilla type of recording style.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Guerrilla recording in the dead of night.
It was like we knew something's coming, we just didn't know when and what, and I think that's just Coldplay for you sometimes, I think.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. I think you said, Ian, though, like, we had an inkling. You said something that stuck with me about how they never announce just one thing. Like, They announced Global Citizen and we were like, okay, something's up here. Something's about to happen, because Coldplay, it's just not in their nature to announce one thing and then just go away again.
Yeah, that's right. So they announced Global Goal 2020 was announced, and Coldplay was announced as a performer. We don't know which part of the world they will be performing in. There'll be 5 cities around the world, September 26th. And yeah, so we don't know anything else until early next year. That's when they've said the next batch of news will come out. But yeah, just having that expectation of a comeback date was good. As a Coldplay fan, I felt like we finally have a date where they will be on stage again. Like, that felt good for me. But yeah, you're right. They never just announce one thing. That's what you have to know. So when this just one thing comes out, you've got to be like, hey, what's that?
Yeah, a fun game to play too is also after the album comes out, finding out like what songs would they play from this. And we know, from knowing what we know now with how politically charged this album is going to be, it's like, what's going to be fitting for a setting like a global goal? Like, what's going to fit that mold?
I was thinking about that as well, because obviously when they announced that they were going to be playing, the big question was like, okay, well, is this going to be like a one-off thing for 2020? Is that the only thing they're going to do? Are they going to release new material around then, or like do like they did with Amazing Day and play new material there? And like, honestly, we still don't have answers to that, which I think is really interesting. Even though they have announced more things than just that they'll be there, we still don't really know what to expect from it, from that. Be playing like Orphans or something. But
Yeah.
Chris is, I don't know, he talked in the one interview about how like personal the album felt for him, and like he didn't want to talk about it a lot because then he might regret it. So I think it would be curious to see how much of this, how many of the songs would like carry outside of this era.
That's what I was about to say as well. Like,
Oh, sorry.
if it no, it's completely fine. Like, if it's not anything from the new album, of anything off Everyday Life, you can guarantee it's going to be Viva La Vida, Paradise, Sky Full of Stars. You know,
Maybe every
the
teardrop.
typical 5 songs. That's what you can expect. The first real batch of somewhat Coldplay album news came from a UK newspaper called The Daily Star, which
I'm sure
no
me and
one
you
ever
will agree.
believes.
Yeah. If you're from the UK, you'll know that's not a reputable source usually. So you can imagine the amount of skepticism that was met with. But
Yeah, so basically in this article, from what seemed to be a trusted music journalist in some respects. If you go to his Instagram, he had photos with a lot of stars, but they explained in this article, an insider had leaked to them an experimental album will come in November with a more mainstream pop album to follow in 2020. There'll be a full tour to follow after the second album in 2020 or /2021.
Yeah.
So no one really believed this. It just came out of nowhere. And over time, it's been like, for me, it was quite comical actually, because I believed it a little bit at the start. I was like, yeah, maybe they've been recording, who knows? But when you see like the theme of the album was like, they had the sun and the moon and the stars, you know, it's like the Daily Star. Yeah, that makes sense now. It makes sense why they went to this newspaper to leak it. I think it was an official leak, if I'm honest, looking back now.
So
Yeah.
do you think then that we'll still get another album next year?
I think Chris has already confirmed that, almost
Yeah,
accidentally.
I think so too, because when they first announced Everyday Life, I think I saw some people talking about, oh, maybe the rumors got it mixed up and it was just that we're getting the double album. But yeah, I think ever since Chris keeps saying like the next thing we're working on in those interviews, I feel less skeptical about it.
So from now on, we have to trust the Daily Star.
Yeah.
Wow.
No
Or at
thanks.
least pay attention to it.
I think they said a meteor was going to hit us on Halloween. So, you know,
Meteor? Oh, wow.
that's the Daily Star for you. You know, that's what you get. It's a hit and miss. This was a hit, apparently.
I feel like this kind of
Well, I'd
ties
rather
into...
this be a hit than the meteor.
I feel like that kind of ties into like how and we're gonna get into that later about like their promo that press release. They're being very cheeky. Am I using that term right about it?
Yeah.
Just like tongue in cheek and releasing that official information to the Daily Star with the intent like, hey, this album is a sunrise, sunset. So yeah, I think you're right, Ian, where they purposely did this to a very low trusted news source because they thought it'd be, you know, a fun thing to do.
They knew the fan pages would talk about it, and they knew no one would believe it because it's. So
Yeah.
it just built a little bit of spark of interest, and I think it worked. Well, it definitely worked.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we started getting more and more evidence. I mean, a couple of days later, I think the first pictures came up with the band filming a music video in Malibu. The big surprise came, I mean, one day later, or like, I don't know how much later that was, with like the one poster.
Yeah, I think that day with the music video, just to stop us from getting ahead a little bit, but that day with the music video, something had happened that was actually quite amusing. I don't know, from a Coldplay fan trying to find news, like we do on ColdplayXtra sometimes.
I know what you're going to say.
We heard rumbles about a Coldplay music video somewhere on the internet, and there was one of them saying they were filming in LA, and there was another one saying they were filming in Gloucestershire, England. And you was just like, well, which one is it going to be? And the one in Gloucestershire had these pilgrims covering Viva La Vida, and it was a complete hoax for actual intel on an official Coldplay music video. But it was crazy to follow at the time. And then when we found out...
it was a hoax? Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, it was actually happening, but it was like a German pilgrimage like band that were just singing the Viva chorus.
Wait.
And,
yeah. So
and then everyone was thinking, oh, okay, Coldplay music video. So everyone starts doing the searches, and then we found this thing in Malibu, and photos came out, and you could see them all on the beach, and it was just like, wow, that's the moment. From the newspaper leak to this, it was like, okay, things are actually happening now.
Actually, one of my favorite things about the pictures that emerged in Malibu was that one person who was there and heard like the song that was being, filmed, he just said that like, the song was horrible, and I was like, okay, that seems very promising.
yeah, that's what I thought you were going to say about Christ Martian, but you came out with the Gloucestershire stuff instead.
Actually, it was quite funny.
It was quite funny. That all kind of makes sense though, unless it's a coincidence. Like, another potential Coldplay music video being filmed at exactly the same time as a cover-up in Gloucestershire, when we've just found out that the album was being recorded in Gloucestershire. Like, this band are either very lucky with coincidences, or they're far too clever for their own good.
Yeah, I mean, the marketing strategy for this album has been quite unique, to say the least. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was a cover-up.
No, I think it was quite innocent actually, but yeah, it was. They are a German pilgrimage cover band, and they were just there in this old church ruin settings recording Viva. So it was just covering Viva. So
I don't know. I like to put my tinfoil hat on and think that they were recording, and then like that's the stuff that we're seeing on guys' Instagram today, where the location tag is Gloucestershire, and people they found out that people were finding out that they were there, and Phil was just kind of like, send in the clowns and release these German cover band to like, yeah, we're the decoy, follow us.
We reached new levels of clownery once the first poster came out, and the amount of theories and the reactions that came to it. I mean, I don't got like, for those who had missed it, I mean, the moment, like sometime around mid-October, someone posted a picture from Sao Paulo from a poster that said like November 22, 1919, which had Coldplay, who, if you guys hadn't seen the poster by now, it's like a throwback 100 years ago kind of poster, and it was out there in Brazil without any context, without any explanation by Coldplay, and I was actually quite amazed at the amount of theories that, like, before an official announcement came, the amount of theories everyone came up with. I mean, my favorite was the one that there was this one band member at the left who wasn't part of Coldplay, and have we been able to confirm that it was Nietzsche? Someone like argued that it's Friedrich Nietzsche, who's like this German philosopher, I think. And
I don't know if it's confirmed, but that's what people thought.
Yeah.
I think the thing that Johnny said, it's his actual great granddad's old band, and this guy just happens to look like Nietzsche. So.
And then there were theories about the eclipse, that like November 22 we had an eclipse, and like the amount of theories I read in those 3 days was incredible. And then the best part happens, like 24 hours of madness, and then the next day the poster is removed. That was like, okay, what are we gonna do now?
That was like the peak. If my clown shoes weren't on already, they've certainly been wedged fully on right now.
It was just put up one day or like a couple of days earlier than expected, right? That was like the thing, the end.
Yeah, the thing is like, you don't know if it was intentional as well. Like, Coldplay love Sao Paulo. It was at Paulista train station, metro station, sorry, and it was on the yellow line. So, you know, how many coincidences for the first one being found would have equated to all these things? I don't know. Maybe I got my clown shoes on now.
I mean, again, with my tinfoil hat on, I think it's fully intentional. Like, they put this up and, made it look like an accident. Just to, again, be cheeky about it. The yellow line, Sao Paulo. Yeah.
It could be, here's my theory, a combination. That it was supposed to be the first one to go up, but they also put it up too early.
Yeah, I'm on that side, I think. There's tinfoil hats, and then there's, like, just absolute ridiculousness. I feel like, yeah, I agree with Brooke that it was definitely meant to go up first. The band absolutely adore Brazil, and Brazil adore the band as well. So it was going to generate some buzz, but I do think someone messed up and put it up a few days early. That's just my take on it.
Because otherwise, like, why take it back down again?
Yeah, exactly.
It was only the beginning, because like the days afterwards where things started changing, we saw the YouTube channel undergoing some changes. He suddenly had some songs with black and yellow.
Black and white.
Black and yellow. They re-recorded Black and Yellow.
Who sings that song?
White thumbnails.
With Khalifa. That's it.
That would be quite a surprise if we see that.
You think people had a bad reaction to the Timbaland news?
Yeah, Coldplay and Big Sean divided the fandom enough. I feel like Coldplay and Wiz Khalifa would full on start like a civil war at this point.
Anyway, we're here to talk about Coldplay, not Wiz Khalifa, not Ariana Grande. So we started seeing changes on YouTube. We started seeing the new official emojis of Coldplay, which is the moon and sun emoji. Like a couple of, famous videos like Yellow, The Scientist, Violet Hill. I mean, Up and Up, Aliens. I mean, have we been able to establish if there's a reason why they chose these songs yet?
I was just gonna say, we still don't know why that happened. It still bugs me on a daily basis. Why have you made the black and white videos for Violet Hill and Aliens and Midnight? What are you planning? Tell me.
Is it coincidence, or is the mastermind marketing intern working again on something?
They pick specific songs, so Aliens, I think, stands out to me as a specific one. Up and Up as well, quite political based. Violet Hill as well. Yeah, and some of them, I had a theory, but only The Scientist threw me off. All of these songs have lyrics towards astrology, apart from The Scientist, which the only one I could vaguely get was Science and Progress as the lyric. But other than that, that's what I was thinking, but I don't know if that's true.
It's a very interesting theory.
I could recite the whole thing, but it'd take too long.
That thesis is gonna have to wait.
Yeah.
But maybe it's like a feature set list or something. I don't know. Yeah, it's really hard to. I don't know.
That's what I was gonna say. Amelia,
Wishful thinking.
I love how you said some of their most popular, and then we have a list here, and you completely skipped over the hardest.
Yeah, there's the black sheep there.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. If you want to get Coldplay to play the hardest part, you're going to have another civil war in your hands, and that's not even the fans. That's just going to be the band.
I got to hear it live in the Viva era, so I'm good.
That was the best one.
100%. Into Viva, mwah, chef's kiss.
Yeah, so that happened, the Sao Paulo poster, it went up, got taken down, and then that day, all the YouTube thing, and then the next day, all the real official posters started to appear everywhere. I think that was cool.
Yeah, I mean, we had ones, Madrid, I think we saw Berlin, in Paris, in London, in Manchester, and I mean, most of these posters start showing up in metro stations, but my favorite part so far of the whole marketing process of the album so far was how these posters started showing up in unusual places, like the Banksy Museum in Amsterdam, which was amazing considering I went to that museum it's actually called the Moco Museum, and putting up a poster of every day of the teaser next to Banksy artwork, I still don't know why they did it, but I thought it was quite incredible.
It didn't look out of place.
Yeah, it did fit quite nicely with the structure, especially with the frame, the style of framing. I think it fits really nicely with the design, with the architecture of the museum. I don't know if you've been there before, Ian, but it's really nice.
Yeah, I have, but not recently. So
okay.
It's just really nice to see that they explored other things other than metro stations or big common billboards, and they actually thought about intricate places they could place these things. And, just their minds blow my mind sometimes.
They amaze me sometimes, truly.
Especially when you look at the actual announcement of the whole album, it's been everything but the normal way, right?
Then fans started to receive announcement letters. I know of Lena was probably the first fan who made us all aware of it. Even she herself thought it was fake because, how can it possibly be real that the biggest band in the world are sending out written letters practically to their fans to announce the newest album. But sure enough, other people started to check their mail, and it became official in a few days. It's just, I really like how intimate and personal they've made this whole album cycle. It feels like it really is a letter to the fans, literally and figuratively.
Did anyone here get a letter, by the way?
I think it was in the UK only. So Sam.
That's a shame.
Sam would have been the only one who could have gotten one.
People were theorizing, and I got like 10,000 messages saying, "How do I get a letter?" I was like, "I don't know. Why you ask me?" But what I think happened is they took anyone who made an order across last Christmas for butterfly package stuff or merchandising. They kept that address and then they sent it out. I think that's how they got people's addresses. There's a lot of confusion. I think this is why Lena was very confused, like about the whole thing. How could they get my address?
Who are these stalkers?
You'd start to worry, wouldn't you? You'd start to worry about what you're tweeting. Like, Coldplay have my address. Shit.
They know where you live.
Yeah. That's quite creepy as well. But that's the internet.
As long as it's Coldplay, it's fine. I don't mind.
Oh, they can come round to your house anytime, right?
Yeah.
What I really like about it is they're all hand signed. It's not like just a photocopy of each one. Every one of them, those letters is different because they're hand signed. And let me tell you, hand signed Coldplay things are very valuable. I don't have one.
Did you say you don't have one?
I don't have one.
I have one.
You do?
I have one of the Skype artworks. It's behind
Oh yeah, I remember
me,
that.
Actually, right
Yeah. I remember that competition.
I'm sitting looking at my Head Full of Dreams set list that's got stars drawn all over it, but I feel like that was the sound technician, not Coldplay themselves somehow. But that's the closest thing I have to signed merch.
I'm currently wearing their Christmas sweater. I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah, it's very comfortable.
That was a classic.
I guess the letters themselves give away hints to where to find the next trail. It was like a cookie trail, or a crumb trail, whatever they call it. And in the letter, it mentioned actually classified. Check the classifieds for double album. Lo and behold, a couple of days later, newspaper adverts with the official track listings came out. The first one that came out was one that we found on ColdplayXtra. It actually was the town where Johnny is from originally in North Wales, and I didn't know that he used to work there as a youngster, so when they announced that was quite mind-blowing as well. And then once we put it out, like other people started finding them around the world. Like, oh yeah, it's in the Paris paper. Oh, it's in the Jordan paper, and in a different language. Oh, it's in the Tokyo paper. I think I read an interview with the Parlophone guy who said for £50 they created the biggest marketing campaign of an album launch that anyone will ever remember.
I mean, it was just like the excitement of the fans, you know, everyone was just actively either like buying the newspapers or checking their mailbox or looking out in metro stations for more signs. It was just so engaging, which made this campaign so different and, like, in my opinion, so incredible to witness.
Yeah. Also very old-fashioned, which linked to the 1919 thing, which is cool.
Just how different they do it versus everybody else out there in the music industry. How different they've done this. You know, it stands out naturally, and with, you know, retro things coming back around to be popular again, I feel like this is a really cool way to kind of show people, hey, this is how things were done before, and you know,
isn't it still cool?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's interesting that they've subverted our expectations like consistently throughout this era, but that's what makes it most interesting. I think in the era of social media, it's very easy to have a cookie cutter like album campaign of, oh, I'll drop the teaser one day and then a week later you'll get a single. And then a few weeks later, you'll get an album.
All my tweets before.
Yeah, or I'll delete my Instagram account and deactivate my Twitter. And, oh, I've got a blank white profile picture. Wow, everyone's freaking out. Like, there wasn't any of that, and that's what made it really interesting. Obviously, I would have freaked out just the same if that's what they'd done, but I appreciate it.
Well, there was the black and white thumbnails.
Yeah, well, that was a thing, I guess. We still don't know why it was a thing, but it was a thing.
We still don't know why.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, I really appreciate them being more personal and actually putting thought into this, definitely.
Do you guys think we're going to find out why?
I don't know. Maybe one day.
On the 2021 tour, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. They'll be like, why are those still black and white? And he was like, okay, well, I'll tell you now, because nobody got it.
Oh.
Yeah, but that whole teasing and that whole, announcement thing, if they don't win an award for that, I don't know if you can win an award for that, but if they don't win an award for that, I'll send them a letter.
I was gonna say, let's make
well
them
done,
an
guys.
award, like one of those like certificates you get in like elementary school. We'll just
Thumbs
get that
up.
and
Well
mail it
done,
to them.
guys.
What a participation
Good job.
award.
I'll put like a little gold star sticker on it.
Put
You tried.
a sun and a moon sticker on it. Like, well done, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It was like really interesting to see how they approached the build up to the announcement. Obviously, as we mentioned with the YouTube channel, and just like, obviously they're not going to completely ditch social media. So once they had made the announcement, then we noticed the website changed and there was a countdown. And of course, like everything else leading up to this point, we had something but didn't know what it meant. But I think there were people who kind of guessed that the countdown was probably leading to the Annie Mac show on Radio 1. And sure enough, we got the news before it happened, but not too much before, like a day before or so, I think. I was able to listen to it as it was happening. I don't know if the rest of you were able to, but
Yeah.
before they played the new tracks, and Chris was on as well with a very brief interview, before they played them, they were playing different Coldplay songs. So they played Yellow and Clocks and Paradise, and then they took a break for like 2 or 3 songs. But that was like so cool. I think it just had this great feel in the fandom of like, we're back.
Yeah.
It helped capture the build-up and excitement.
Yeah, it made it feel like real, like, oh, we're doing this.
And it
Yeah,
brought back a
it's
lot
actually
of
happening.
memories.
My Twitter feed was refreshing faster than I could refresh it, which has not happened in a long time. So that was great, at least, to see everyone come together. And there was a lot of typing in caps, and yeah, it kind of brought back memories of days when Coldplay were more active.
The interesting thing for me personally, because this is the first era, I would say, where I'm really on Twitter in this phase, and normally I would be like on Coldplaying, so it's much easier to follow. Even though if you're in a thread, you have tons of people posting at the same time, it's still easier to follow when it's one thread, whereas on Twitter, it's like everyone's creating new tweets and then responding to the tweet. It gets harder to follow with everyone. But the most important thing is to actually listen to the music that's playing, and also to listen to the interview with Chris, which happened and is available on YouTube now, I think, too. But we got some interesting quotes from him, pretty typical Chris stuff, which is saying that like every day is great and every day is terrible. Kind of, even if we think way back to like X and Y days, he's always been saying those sorts of things, always having a very balanced view of life. And then some other quotes here, that the album is a reaction to the perceived negativity around our current moment in life, and that there probably would not be much talking or touring for this album. So how did you guys feel before we get to the songs? Did you have any reactions to hearing the interview with Chris and anything that he said in that?
I think he, as Chris always is, as you mentioned, was poignant and yet also frustratingly vague. And that's typical on-brand Chris Martin. So I can't say that I was expecting him to divulge every detail of the album, but it was just great to hear his voice and hear his actual thoughts on what they'd created. Because before that, it was entirely us speculating. So to actually hear an element of, this is what this project is, this is how it was made, even if it was just a glimpse to start with, was really refreshing.
Yeah. And some of those things that we were speculating on in our previous recordings that are now scrapped and will never be released actually ended up coming through, and a lot of them fell by the wayside as well. But I think it was Camellia who was most passionate for a political Coldplay album. Yes. And it looks like you might be getting one.
It's a dream come true, and let me just add to it. Not only am I getting political Coldplay, I'm getting political and somehow Arab inspired Coldplay, which I'm still trying to figure out why they're doing it. But as a person who's Arab, it's like, to me, a dream come true. So I'm on cloud 9 here, you guys. So I mean, if once we start talking about the songs, and I mean, these are just 2 songs that got released. I'm really excited, and they're already political enough for me. I'm very excited about what's gonna come. So I'm very happy.
I can't say I blame you. I mean, you know, to get an album inspired by your sort of, you know, life and culture must be something. I live for the day that Coldplay make a Geordie inspired album, but I can't say that it's going to happen somehow.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you think, like, Arabic and like the whole Arab culture isn't really that positively represented in the music industry. So I think this is going to be, like, for me, and I've talked to like a lot of fans from Morocco, from Tunisia, from Egypt, and it's an incredible feeling to see something being represented correctly for from our culture. So it's a great feeling. I'm very happy about that.
Awesome. So what was everyone's thoughts on the song itself? Let's start with Arabesque first. So we have some interesting things happening with that song. First of all, one of the first instances ever of swearing in a Coldplay song, and for us this was the first one that we hear there that has an explicit label on that. So we can anticipate more.
If you exclude the live albums, yeah.
True. Yes.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right about that. But as far as the studio recording,
I think it's the first time we get
we had some I think division in the fandom about this. Some people are less fond of it, others are very fond of it.
The great news is there's 2 versions. There's a clean version and an explicit version.
Yeah.
So, you know, whatever floats your boat. For me, I think Chris talked about it in an interview recently as well. And he said, you know, in the past, Coldplay songs had swear words in, but Will would always make him take them out. Mm-hmm. And for this one, he let it go. So, thank you, Will.
Definitely.
Thank you, Will. I think especially, I don't know about how your timelines look like for the first days after the songs came out, but to me it's been the same lyric being repeated over and over and over again.
Oh yeah, some people even went as far as to tattoo it on themselves, so it's...
Yeah.
Did they
know?
really? I didn't see that. That's
I saw a
fantastic.
tattoo.
Yeah.
I definitely think that, like, first of all, he says it twice, so it's not really like that revolutionary per se, but also like there's definitely an intention behind it. So
Definitely. I don't know.
I can understand why people are really into it.
It just helps express the feeling that he's trying to portray, right?
Yeah, definitely. And because he's trying to say, like, both of the songs that were played in this Radio 1 session have very clear messages, but with Arabesque, it's very, like, upfront and very stated very plainly. So I feel like that use of swearing just kind of helps that. He's like not trying to be all like flowery about it. Not I just picked that word.
He's like,
but it
we're getting
really well
real this time. We're not kidding this time.
It's like a very grungy song. It's the opposite of flowery song. It's like grungy and
so
dirty.
Let's talk about that
almost.
too. I was just gonna say, like I mentioned, the swear. It's 2 words in the song. The song is much longer than those few seconds. And there's a lot of stuff happening in it. Yeah. So first off, we had Stromae. Is that how you say his name? I've never tried to pronounce it before. Stromae, he's in there. He does a little French verse, which is one of the most incredible verses in any Coldplay song, in my opinion. And then we also had some lovely horns from Femi Kuti, and I believe that Chris said his son was involved as well, and just the band that he's associated with, and we finally got that jazz. So what were your thoughts about that?
Johnny went jazz.
It only took like how many years?
17.
for them. Yeah, that's just a lot of
16, I
folding.
guess.
Because like, if I remember clearly, that was Will who told him to no jazz, right?
Yes.
And so yeah, so Will overturned a lot of things from the swearing to the jazz. He's had a change of heart, and yeah, even more big ups for him to actually let this song happen. I'm one of the more. I was one of the. I'll admit, I'm one of the people who had some issues trying to wrap my head around this song at first, but over time, it felt more Coldplay-esque, and it felt organic and natural. And I think that was the issue that I had. It's like, this is like an acquired taste. Let's see if I acquire the taste. And yeah, soon enough it did.
I totally agree. At first, when I listened to the song, the first few times that I listened to it, for at least a minute and a half, I was like, I'm just listening to freeform jazz, and that's never something that I plan to do in my life, pretty much. But now that I've grown to appreciate it as a whole, I think it might be one of their best songs ever, just for the amount of risks that it takes. It's totally balls to the wall, if I'm allowed to say that. It gives me like 42 type vibes of just madness, but in a way that, like,
Sounds brilliant.
yeah, and portrays a message. Exactly.
Absolutely. I think the message of the song really hits home, especially the crescendo itself is just like,
I get
I don't know,
goosebumps.
my head explodes every time
Yeah.
I listen to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I love that song.
It's funny because the first time listening to it, it felt like the song just kept going and going, and I was like, when does it end? Not that I wanted it to end, but it was like hard to anticipate that. I think the funny thing is now, the more I've listened to it, and I've listened to it a lot on a loop with Orphans, the shorter the song feels. Like, you could listen to Arabesque and it feels like 2 seconds passes by, at least in my experience. But so, yeah, I think we've talked about Arabesque quite a bit. Let's flip to Orphans. So, kind of like I was saying with Arabesque, the message of that song is very plainly stated. Orphans takes a little bit, and you really have to actually see what the lyrics are to get what the song is about. I know for sure the first time that I heard it, I did not understand half of what was being said in the song. So what were your first thoughts on Orphans?
My first thought on Orphans was really funny because the first thing I thought about was Hannah Montana, ironically.
Yes, me
I don't
too.
know.
Same.
No, I mean, Hold On, Throw Down was my childhood, and then it's just like, what is happening? It's just like, that was my first impression, and so it took me a minute to like actually like gather my thoughts. Like, wait, this is Coldplay. We're not listening to Hannah Montana revival. So that was my first impression. But I mean, I loved it instantly. I think I actually focused on the lyrics actually surprisingly a lot, and it really hit me because I instantly realized what they were trying to do, like, cover up a rather sad story through these happy melodies. So actually I think I teared up at the end. It was very touching.
Oh,
Yeah.
The first time I listened to the song, like Camellia, the song I listened to immediately afterwards was Ho Down Throw Down by Hannah Montana. And just that
Yes.
boom boom clap, boom de clap de clap, I was like, oh god, Coldplay have got a lawsuit on their hands again. But
Also, I really hope they play this live. So
yeah.
I just like, and I'm in the crowd, and just like go, oh, let's do the Hold On, Throw Down. This is like my ultimate goal, right?
Just imagine getting served a lawsuit from Hannah Montana. So, that in itself.
Yeah.
See, and my first thoughts were about X Marks the Spot, so I think that says a lot about me.
Meanwhile,
that is quite different.
Tell us.
For
tell
me,
us
I
what it is.
think
got
I-
the boom boom lyrics in there.
Yeah, okay, no, I get that.
That's why.
Yeah, okay, I get that. No, for me, I got it completely wrong. The first time I listened to it, I thought it was this really cute, joyful song, and I had loved it. I was like, oh, this is so happy. And then it took me like a day or two to really listen to the lyrics, and I was like, oh, this is really, quite poignant and dark and
Yeah.
really hitting home. Like I think that's the 100% the intention. Like
Yeah.
I think who someone just said then, like happy times through the madness or the sadness of things, and yeah, it blew my mind. I think I tweeted, "Oh, it's such a cute song," but it's not. It's really not. So I got that wrong.
It's like a bit of like pumped up kicks, Foster People kind of style.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I instantly thought of as well.
It takes you a while to get through the haha, yay, except for the missile monsoon, yay. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what? Yeah, it's very like poignant lyrics masked with happy tones.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you think about like, I don't know if you guys like have experience or have, I mean, obviously it's been in the news for a lot of years now, but if you think about like the whole situation in Syria, and especially like for people who did, like I saw a lot of tweets and a lot of stories about people who've worked with refugees, who've actually seen some things that have happened in the past years, including me myself. So it really hits on another level once you start really understanding what this song is about and like what it reflects that's currently happening in the world. Yeah, they excelled with this song. Like,
10 out of 10 from Camellia.
yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. So there are a few other, I think, interesting things about this song as well. The inclusion of Moses, which he has been on some Coldplay songs since Ghost Stories and then In a Head Full of Dreams, but now he seems to be taking on a little more of an active role in kind of, and we heard this through a little bit more through the music video as well, where we kind of got the background of his pseudo Hannah Montana phrase, which for me personally, I think it's kind of cool that he gets a little bit more involved with Coldplay, but also very strange for me because I was a fan before he was even born. And now he's so old.
You're officially old, Brooke.
So, but yeah, so we heard that little bit of kind of, I think, as Chris would say, his voice memo in the music video, which was released on YouTube a few days after the Radio 1 interview happened. We kind of got to see the backstory of the song and kind of the progression of it coming together. We got a little bit of acoustic parts with just Chris and then the band like playing his backyard. We finally saw the results of the Malibu shoot, and then, you know, we kind of go into the full song from there. How did you guys feel about the video?
I adored it. I really appreciated the contrast between the sort of homemade footage and then the more high quality stuff with the flowers in the background and all those natural images. It's definitely one of my favorite Coldplay music videos, and I saw somebody say on Twitter pretty much as soon as it was released that it gave them Strawberry Swing vibes, and I obviously that's like my favorite Coldplay song of all time. So
Interesting.
yeah.
For me, I thought more instantly of the Lovers in Japan video. I think probably because of the rotating segments, but also having that, like, the band in front of the screen reminded me a lot of the Lovers in Japan video. But that makes sense because Matt Whitecross.
Yeah. And if you remember in the emails that like flash across the screen in the music video, he actually name drops Lovers in Japan as like an inspiration for it, so that definitely makes sense.
There you go.
I personally loved how it actually also kind of symbolizes the return. Like, it starts off, like, you know, with the whole emails and the planning. It fits with the whole comeback theme of like, we're coming back after 2 years. It's very progressive in a way.
There's also like the story of the song as well, which is what I love about it. It starts out with Chris and Moses talking, and then all of a sudden Chris is busking on a street or in Central Park, and then by the end of the song it's this big whole production thing. I just love that it feels like you went through that journey with them with that song. That's what I love about it. I was blown away by this video. I really loved it, and it's actually one of their best performing videos ever released, like, to date. I know some people don't care about stats, but if you're into stats, it's doing really well. So that's all you need to know.
Yeah, to me, it definitely felt like an extension of the Head Full of Dreams film, because it was showing like all this behind the scenes sort of stuff, or kind of that process of making the song itself. So I think it will be interesting to see how that could potentially impact other videos in the future, especially when they continue working with Matt Whitecross. So yeah.
And the thing is, when we saw the Malibu beach scene, they were actually wearing different clothes to what we saw in the photo. So maybe there is another video of that coming as well, which is, and there's a piano on the beach in the original photo, but there's no piano when they're doing their thing. So
all right, Sherlock, slow down.
I know. I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry, guys. But maybe.
Right.
But yeah, in this house we love orphans and arabesque.
Absolutely.
And everyday life.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna get to that soon,
Yeah.
I think, right?
Yes. The next thing that we experienced in the news cycle was their announcement of the live stream in Jordan, and they did that in a very fun way. Something that we've never seen them do before, or I think I don't. It's something along the vein of like the nappies. It's just it's very comical, but at the same time, kind of informative. So we have the two performances in Jordan, one at sunrise and one at sunset. And that press conference that they released, they did with the help of Fred Armisen and Carrie Brownstein. And if you've ever watched Portlandia, they are comedic geniuses. And after watching that, it definitely came out and it worked very well with the boys' sense of humor. And we do know is that there's going to be exclusive footage on YouTube Premium. So there is a 1-month free trial that they offer you. You might have seen it pop up on the bottom of your screen when you're browsing YouTube. But yeah, look for that if you haven't used it yet. So that's a good way to kind of get in on that premium content. So yeah, what do you guys think about the press conference and the live performances? I bet you guys have a lot of fun responses to that.
I think I had to rewatch it like at least 2-3 times to actually figure out the amount of things that were happening at once. I mean, I think it just took me like by the third time I realized we actually got snippets from other songs, and all these inside jokes, and it was too much to handle for me at first. But it was genius. I think it was like such a fun, different thing to do, which goes in line with the whole promotion or whatever it's promoting process.
I just wanted to say the press conference video is a work of art. That's all. Definitely, because I am a fan of Portlandia. So as soon as I saw Fred Armisen and Carrie Brownstein, I was like, this is incredible.
Yeah, I saw those two, and then just the characters come out of them, and especially when Fred took over as Chris, and that's become like an internal meme within the company.
Absolutely.
Within the community, sorry.
And it was really nice to have a video like this through the official Coldplay channel, because like in the past we used to get the Christmas videos and then they kind of stopped doing that, but like those were always kind of like fun and silly. And then I feel like in recent years, like I don't know, we've had some things like the Game of Thrones musical and Chris being on Carpool Karaoke, but it really feels like this is kind of a return to the old times. So maybe we'll see more funny things from them. Maybe not. Who knows? But
I just love that the questions were like actual questions. If they were to host a press conference, these are some of the things that they would get asked. And I love that I think Sam, you tweeted it. You said you love the fact that they just dragged the media with how basic they can be.
Yeah, literally.
but not even the media, because if you look at their YouTube community page asking for questions for before the live stream, a lot of fans are posting questions that are very similar to the questions that are in the press conference. Some people were like literally posting, "Guy, what's your skincare routine?" So like those were definite references, but other people were like genuinely asking questions, and I read them and I'm like, this was a fake question from the press conference video.
What time will you be watching the live stream in your part of the world? Any unusual hours? You guys are gonna be staying up or what?
I don't think that I will be staying up to watch it. Call me a fake fan. But 4 a.m. is just not feasible at the moment. Sorry. The shame, the bad thing about growing up being a Coldplay fan is that 5 years ago, staying up until 3 a.m. to watch a live stream was just part of my daily routine. But now it's I need to think about the repercussions, sadly. So I'll probably be watching it the next day. But if I was watching it on time, it would be 4 a.m. and then 2 p.m.
Okay,
Coincidentally, I'm going to be in a train at 3 a.m. So,
Oh wow.
yeah, I'm going to be going back. I'm going to be on my way back from a Vampire Weekend gig. So, can't complain. I was
Gig after
actually
gig.
first gig after gig, yeah. So, which is going to be a pity because, like, I think I'm going to be very excited about Vampire Weekend, and then like a couple hours later, I'm going to be like, I don't know them. I only know Coldplay from now.
It's 5 a.m. for me, so it's not too bad. But apparently for you guys in the US, it's not that bad.
No, not at all.
Yeah, 11 p.m. and then 9 a.m. for me, which is nice because normally it is that I have to wake up. Like, Every Teardrop is a Waterfall premiere, woke up at 6 a.m. Adventure of a Lifetime premiere, I woke up at 2 a.m. So it's kind of nice to be able to listen to something and then I go to sleep.
Yeah, I'm glad that this is like lining up with our schedules. Thankfully, I'm working from home that day, so I won't have to like be anywhere or rush
Awesome.
anywhere. So it's nice.
I
And
was
then-
surprised that they're not going to do Glastonbury. I think like in one of our previous podcasts, we were all in agreement that like Glastonbury could definitely be a thing.
Mm.
That was a surprise for me.
How do you feel, Sam?
I'm a little bit heartbroken. If you didn't know, which most of you listening probably didn't, I got tickets to Glastonbury for the first time ever this year, so I will be in attendance. So obviously a lack of Coldplay will be sad. But I wasn't too surprised, as every Coldplay hater out there likes to point out they have headlined the festival just about more times than anybody else. So it makes sense that they aren't returning only 3 years after they last did it. But it would have been nice, especially for the 50th anniversary, with them being such an intrinsic part of the festival, I guess.
I still think that Chris is going to show up somewhere,
Oh, definitely.
as he does.
I just hope I don't run into him while too drunk or whatever. Just completely cross paths with him for the first time and I'm not in a state to talk to him. That wouldn't be ideal.
You're gonna point at him again or yawn in his face again.
I'd be like, hey, do you remember me? I was that yawning kid. You'd be like, dude, chill out. Who are you?
Yeah.
It was also Guy who mentioned, like, I think he was the first one to drop the bomb on no tour things, though. He said they will do some shows, though. So the some shows is better than no shows, in my opinion.
That really sparks my anxiety. Like, some shows, I don't even want to think about getting tickets to those.
I wonder
And
at
we-
what scale it'll be in. Like, will it be in the Ghost Stories scale where it's just a couple of you could count the number of shows in your hand, or maybe it's like a 1 or 2. Like, it's gonna be like just the mounting anxiety of getting tickets and planning around travel, etc. Once that news comes out, especially with people who are very dedicated to this band, like us.
Yeah, what I would like to encourage you, no one will probably take my advice, is like just weigh up all the rumors. This era might be really short and sweet, but it seems like they're coming back big time in the future. So don't be too hard on yourself if you just miss out this time, and don't put yourself through hell to try and get there, because there will be more. That's all I'm gonna say.
Not that we know anything. of
No, we
course.
don't, but
We
that's
don't.
what the rumors are suggesting, right?
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
Daily Star leaks. Come on, good old Daily Star.
Yeah.
Come on, Daily Star. Don't let us down again.
So speaking of putting yourself through hell, is this a good time for me to bring up Saturday Night Live?
Oh my
And the
God.
fact that I slept outside in New York City.
Oh yeah, please
to
get into
see
that.
Coldplay. Okay, so
That was a nice little transition.
it was perfect. Okay, so Saturday Night Live, yes. I was one of the crazy people who decided to wait outside in the line to try and get in to see Coldplay perform. And long story short, I managed to get in to see them perform, so that was really, really great. Shout out to everyone else who also waited in the line, whether or not they got in. That is dedication. So we heard 2 songs being performed on Saturday Night Live. First was Orphans, which everyone kind of assumed was going to be there. Then we didn't know if they were going to play Arabesque or not, especially with, all the swearing involved.
And all the horns.
Yeah, exactly. So we weren't sure. We were also thinking they might play a new song, Everyday Life, and guess what? They did. So I'm curious to hear what you all thought, those of you who had to not watch it in the studio. What were your guys' thoughts, especially to Everyday Life, hearing that for the first time? But I'm also curious to hear about what you thought about how they kind of staged the Orphans performance.
I think Orphans is very unique. Like, as someone who watches Saturday Night Live pretty passionately, and with the quality of the comedy aside, it's like the musical performances are pretty standard. Like, you do something on stage. Some artists will do something that'll break the mold sometimes, and it's been a while, I feel like, since that's happened. And so for them to start, for Chris to start backstage and for the dancers to be a very interactive part of it was a breath of fresh air for a performance on Saturday Night Live. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I loved the energy in the performance for Orphans. I thought it was great to watch. For me, this is my first time watching Saturday Night Live as a British guy, and I don't know, you won't know this, Brooke, because you was in the thing, but the song actually dropped like halfway through the episode, and I was so happy that happened, because as a British guy, I just couldn't take the show anymore. I just couldn't do it. It was too... Yeah, sorry, Kristen Stewart, but no, it's not her fault. I just didn't really feel the show, but I'm so happy that song Everyday Life dropped, and it was beautiful when it dropped. And for those who were following the events live,
I think it's pretty popular though for artists to come on there and then premiere something new like that. So I already had like an idea, like they were gonna drop Everyday Life, especially with all the the teasers coming up, and usually right after their performance, that song becomes available on iTunes, and they mention it on the show. So that's probably why you saw it halfway through the show, just because like it was their time slot for that to happen.
Yeah. No, I have huge respect for you, Brooke. I know I just slated people for putting themselves through hell, but salute to you and everyone else who stood in that queue.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're the real MVPs.
And we it got pretty cold, but we had it easy compared to the people who were doing it like this past Friday for Harry Styles, because man, it was cold during the day for them. So
I think the queued longer, right? I heard they've been waiting for like 4 days.
Probably since I wouldn't be surprised that more people were waiting for Harry Styles. So you'd want to get there earlier.
That's surprising. I think I just read that the Coldplay performance had a higher review compared to Harry Styles, which was very surprising. I think
you can't just put it down to Coldplay though, right? If it's the show rating.
Oh, right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know how SNL works.
But we will do that on this show.
I think it was the backing dancers that saved the show, truly. Like,
I love them.
Yeah.
They're
honestly.
incredible.
Mm. I hope we have... It made me think that I would love to see more on stage during a Coldplay concert. Like, not necessarily backing dancers, because that's... In a live scenario, like on a tour, it's not particularly Coldplay. I can't see Chris voguing or anything, but like,
Like, it would remind me too much of like Super Bowl, of like how Beyonce and Bruno Mars were out there dancing super professionally, and there's like Chris sneaking.
Chris was just there, like in the background. Yeah. No, I don't think Coldplay have the energy to have a troupe of backing dancers necessarily, but for like Arabesque, or if they do a very small tour for this album, then it could be nice to have a full, brass band or orchestra with them to do some kind of rework tour. I think I tweeted that actually quite a while ago, that they might do, a tour of Everyday Life and then rework the songs. Maybe it'll be the songs with the black and white logos. Who knows? As a set list for whatever shows they play. But that's just me putting my tinfoil hat on.
Bastille did that a couple of years ago. They did a reorchestrated tour, and I went to one of the shows, and it was amazing. And I could definitely imagine like Coldplay doing that and it being as nice as the Bastille shows. So I'm up for that. Another groundbreaking event has happened, which I feel like for me and for many others has been unexpected but quite exciting, which is the fact that Guy's Instagram account has now turned into a everyday life Coldplay related account, which is quite incredible. Like, to those listening, I don't know if you're all on Instagram or if you haven't heard by now or you haven't seen by now. Guy Berryman is now the only member or the first member of Coldplay to have a Coldplay account, and I think we can all agree that during the hiatus it was for a large part the most exciting thing related to Coldplay which was happening. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Even if we were just getting at first pictures of cars, more cars, and
A
then
watch.
a watch that was like,
Yeah.
Don't forget a magazine, and then more cars.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I have like seen that much cars content in my life as I had through Guy's Instagram. But I mean, we did have some exciting parts. We did have the Sunday album reviews.
Synchro Sunday.
I mean, I always liked every post every picture he posted, and even the ones where he put the whole emojis on an album cover, which honestly did not fit the vibe of his feed, but I wasn't complaining, honestly. It was the only content we were getting. So
You begrudgingly like those ones. You're like, I'm gonna give you a like, but I'm not gonna enjoy it.
yeah.
I'm just thinking of that meme of like the angry person slapping the love hearts on the piece of paper. Like, this is what you're getting, but I'm not happy about it.
Yeah. And I mean, funnily enough, when the announcements started coming, everyone was getting angry at Guy because he still kept posting about cars, and everyone was like, oh, acknowledge the fact that you're in Coldplay, post about the fact that you're releasing an album. And then, like, I think, when did he start posting? I think like 2 days ago. He actually apologized and said, like, I'm sorry that I was just only posting about cars. Now I'm going to post about Coldplay. And I'm guessing now he's back again to being the most interesting and important member of Coldplay for this week.
So how long before everyone turns on him again? That's my question.
The next time he posts a car picture, people are going to be questioning,
I know.
hey,
It's
what's
okay.
this?
I'll be there for Guy to be his only fan.
Yeah, I support. I think it's really important too that he was kind of our point of contact for these past 2-3 years. I've already forgotten like how long we've been waiting for
2
news
years.
about their. Yeah, but he's like his Instagram account was pretty much the most active Coldplay related source.
It also, it's funny because we keep talking about like going back to old things, but it also reminded me of like when the band first got their Twitter account, he was the first of the band to tweet, and he would tweet like pretty often and sharing pictures and stuff. So it kind of reminds me of that. It's just he's moved on to other social media.
He's cool again. Thank you.
He's always been cool. We just don't appreciate him enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think he really loves Coldplay, and that comes across really a lot in the Head Full of Dreams documentary. I think he's the member that talks the most. You can see how passionate he is about it. I think, yeah, for him, and he had to apologise for not being able to post about Coldplay, but he does love it and he does enjoy it. I know the fans, we speculate that he doesn't want to be there sometimes, but he does. He loves it.
He dropped out of school to be in Coldplay and to stay in Coldplay because he had faith in them. So like,
Yeah.
give him some credit.
Guy, if by any chance you're listening, we appreciate you. Thank you for your service in the past 25 years, especially in the past 2 years. Keep on posting.
And not even that it should be a topic of conversation whether Guy sort of enjoys his time in Coldplay, but if you've listened to the songs that have already been released from Everyday Life, and no doubt the songs that will be released as well, his influence is like dripping all over these songs, especially in Orphans, like that bass line, and then in Arabesque as well. You can definitely tell that he's had some input into the production. Everyday Life, obviously not as much. It's mainly Chris and Johnny, but I have a feeling it's very much going to be Guy's album.
It's kind of like he's dropped all this quality on us in terms of Coldplay music while starting an Instagram and posting every day and having these Synchro Sunday sessions. Like, he's been very busy with
And watching our
fans
stories.
and
Yeah.
watching our stories as well.
Hardest
He's been
working
very
member.
busy. Go Guy.
Okay.
That's all I'll say.
What a guy.
I think we're nearly at the end of this episode, and I just want to take this moment to say we launched a new fan project, community project. It's called My Everyday Life, and what we're asking people to do is take a photo of themselves with the new Coldplay album and use the hashtag My Everyday Life. We're hoping this will just create a good feel around the fandom of having this new album in our everyday lives. Some people might be a little bit camera shy, so if you feel like that but you still want to get involved, I'd recommend you get a little bit creative and maybe place the album in a conspicuous place that is part of your own everyday life. So get involved. It'll be fun. And if you've made it this far, thank you for listening.
If you
It means a
haven't,
lot.
Yeah.
I can say whatever
And if you
I
haven't,
want.
by the way, the album is amazing. And there might be some shows coming soon.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. We've heard rumblings.
Feel free to reach out to us on our social medias if you have any comments or concerns, or if you want to yell at us for something we might have said, fans.
Please leave us nice comments as well. We will undoubtedly read them all.
Yes.
And your kind words, as well as your not so kind words, perhaps will mean a lot to us, and we can definitely find out how to improve what you enjoyed, what you maybe didn't enjoy so much. And yeah, we very much appreciate all of you guys. I'm sure Ian can repeat that sentiment in a second when he starts talking again.
Well, I was just going to say, just bear with us. This is our first/third try. And it's only going to get better. We've got some interesting things and ideas and plans for this podcast. We can have some amazing guests come on the show, maybe. So it's going to get bigger and better. Just bear with us, and yeah, thank you for listening. Well, that was episode 1 of Let's Talk by ColdplayXtra.